must compel me to appear to like this wine. Very well, I shall so appear. But I shall drink no more than is unavoidable. And the Queen began to make love to me, the latest recruit to the oyster pirate fleet, and no mere hand, but a master and owner. She went upon deck to take the air, and took me with her. She knew, of course, but I never dreamed, how French Frank was raging down below. Then Tess joined us, sitting on the cabin, and Spider and Bob, and at the last Mrs. Hadley and French Frank. And we sat there, glasses in hand, and sang, while the big demijohn went around, and I was the only strictly sober one. And I enjoyed it as no one of them was able to enjoy it. Here, in this atmosphere of bohemianism, I could not but contrast the scene with my scene of the day before, sitting at my machine in the stifling, shut-in air, endlessly repeating at top speed my series of mechanical motions. And here I sat now, glass in hand, in warm, glowing camaraderie with the oyster pirates, adventurers who refused to be slaves to petty routine, who flouted restrictions and the law, who carried their lives and their liberty in their hands. And it was through John Barleycorn that I came to join this glorious company of free souls, unashamed and unafraid. And the afternoon sea breeze blew its tang into my lungs and curled the waves in mid-channel. Before it came the scow schooners, wing and wing, blowing their horns for the drawbridges to open. Red-stacked tugs tow by, rocking the razzle-dazzle in the waves of their wake. A sugar bark towed from the boneyard to sea. The sunwash was on the crisping water, and life was big. And Spider sang, "Oh, it's Lulu, black Lulu, my darlin'. Oh, it's where have you been so long? Been layin' in jail, a-waitin' for bail, till my bully comes rollin' along." There it was, the smack and slap of the spirit of revolt, of adventure, of romance, of the things forbidden and done defiantly and grandly. And I knew that on the morrow I would not go back to my machine at the cannery. Tomorrow I would be an oyster pirate, as free a freebooter as the Century and the waters of San Francisco Bay would permit. Spider had already agreed to sail with me as my crew of one, and also as cook while I did the deck work. We would outfit our grub and water in the morning, hoist the big mainsail, which was a bigger piece of canvas than any I had ever sailed under, and beat our way out the estuary on the first of the sea breeze and the last of the ebb. Then we would slack sheets, and on the first of the flood run down the bay to the Asparagus Islands, where we would anchor miles offshore. And at last my dream would be realized. I would sleep upon the water. And next morning I would wake upon the water, and thereafter all my days and nights would be on the water. And the Queen asked me to row her ashore in my skiff, when at sunset French Frank prepared to take his guests ashore. Nor did I catch the significance of his abrupt change of plan when he turned the task of rowing his skiff over to Whiskey Bob, himself remaining on board the sloop. Nor did I understand Spider's grinning side remark to me, "Gee, there's nothing slow about you." How could it possibly enter my boy's head that a grizzled man of 50 should be jealous of me? Chapter 8. We met by appointment early Monday morning, to complete the deal, in Johnny Heinhold's Last Chance, a saloon, of course, for the transactions of men. I paid the money over, received the bill of sale, and French Frank treated. This struck me as an evident custom and a logical one. The seller who receives the money to wet a piece of it in the establishment where the trade was consummated. But, to my surprise, French Frank treated the house. He and I drank, which seemed just. But why should Johnny Heinhold, who owned the saloon and waited behind the bar, be invited to drink? I figured it immediately that he made a profit on the very drink he drank. I could, in a way, considering that they were friends and shipmates, understand Spider and Whiskey Bob being asked to drink, but why should the longshoremen, Bill Kelly and Soup Kennedy, be asked? Then there was Pat, the Queen's brother, making a total of 8 of us. It was early morning, and all ordered whiskey. What could I do here in this company of big men all drinking whiskey? "Whiskey," I said, with the careless air of one who had said it 1,000 times. And such whiskey! I tossed it down. Arrgh! I can taste it yet. And I was appalled at the price French Frank had paid. 80 cents. 80 cents. It was an outrage to my thrifty soul. 80 cents. The equivalent of 8 long hours of my toil at the machine, gone down our throats, and gone like that, in a twinkling, leaving only a bad taste in the mouth. There was no discussion that French Frank was a waster. I was anxious to be gone, out into the sunshine, out over the water to my glorious boat. But all hands lingered. Even Spider, my crew, lingered. No hint broke through my obtuseness of why they lingered. I have often thought since of how they must have regarded me, the newcomer being welcomed into their company, standing at bar with them, and not standing for a single round of drinks. French Frank, who, unknown to me, had swallowed his chagrin since the day before, now that the money for the razzle-dazzle was in his pocket, began to behave curiously toward me. I sensed the change in his attitude, saw the forbidding glitter in his eyes, and wondered. The more I saw of men, the queerer they became. Johnny Heinhold leaned across the bar and whispered in my ear, "He's got it in for you. Watch out." I nodded comprehension of his statement and acquiescent in it, as a man should nod who knows all about men. But secretly I was perplexed. Heavens! How was I, who had worked hard and read books of adventure, and who was only 15 years old, who had not dreamed of giving the